Okay, here we go. Jonathan Green, Black Beauty Supreme Ultra Grass Seed Review. This is the early summer update. I think this is the last week in June. Don't know if it's Wednesday or Thursday, but anyhow, it is the last week of June, and the short answer is yes, it's still doing great. So if that's all you're interested in, you can sign off now, but if you'd like to know a little more of the details, stick around for a few more minutes. I'll tell you what's going on. First of all, I want to admit that I have made a video every week since the beginning of June, maybe even the last week of May, because I fully expected this yard to just disastrously dissolve at any moment. And I wanted to document the change between, hey, it looks pretty good, to, yep, that's what I was expecting. Let me show you what I normally expect. I'm just going to turn around here, and I'll walk over here and show you what this looks like. This is I hate to admit it, but this is my typical yard for early summer. Yep. Right next to my driveway. Yeah, people used to park here back in the day, but nobody's parked over here in the past 10 or 12 years that I know of. But this ground was packed hard. Last fall I went ahead and tilled it up with my Son Joe tiller. Then I came in with my Son Joe scarified this yard. I mean, the thing about bounced out of my hand, the ground is so hard. And I planted annual ryegrass, which has been the solution to most of my problems since I moved in here back in 2006. This is 2020, so that's more than 14 years, because I moved in early spring of 2006. And, this is what I'm used to. I spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars each year trying to keep it looking good. Normally that entails planting annual ryegrass, which comes up during the winter and looks great until summer. And then I just wait for the crabgrass, clover, and whatever else crummy stuff can take over to prevent my ground from washing away. Let me move on up the hill. I'll show you something that costs a little bit more money. This is what I call my shady grass experiment. Been going on for about 8 or 10 years. I mean, I took care of it for the first couple of years. And let me come down here and show you what some of this grass looks like. I can't remember the brand, but it was like you go to a big box store and you can see this stuff that says for shady grass area. This is what you get. I have no idea what this is. Maybe it's red creeping fescue, or who knows. But it hasn't changed in all these years. So I gave up on it a few years ago and decided to do what I normally do, is that when the weather first starts getting cold, I just overseed it with annual ryegrass. But as you can see, this year is looking pretty a little bit better, because I got some crabgrass coming in. And we can talk about that pool later. Walk over here. This is an area that, I left this alone back here to the south. I left this alone this past fall, but I divided this area in half and tilled it up, thinking that might help, planting my regular annual ryegrass. And now that it's late June, you can see it looks like a desert. Yeah, man, this is Arizona. Not actually, this is North Carolina, but it looks like Arizona. All right, we're going to move on down here and talk about something else where we can make a good comparison about the Jonathan Green Black Beauty Ultra Supreme Grass Seed as compared to what I've been doing all these years. Bear with me. I'm walking from south to north in my front yard. All this is Jonathan Green. This is my experiment. You will see some crazy spots in the yard. That's because I'm so gun shy about grubs. I got wild out here one day with my shovel. I kept shoveling up sections of yard just to make sure I didn't have any grubs. Couldn't find any, but right here in front of my front steps, a 10 by 10 foot area, that's 100 square feet. I went ahead and poisoned it anyhow, kept my eye on it for 48 hours, did not see a single grub come up and die. So I think the few problems I have in my Jonathan Green yard, been digging there, is probably attributed to, I don't know what, maybe birds, squirrels, whoops, my memory card got full. I've been out here, like I said, every week, making videos, waiting on the thing to self-destruct. But anyhow, what I was going to say was that, when I use my lawn tractor to cut the grass, I end up with 2-3 inches of just grass, cut grass that piles up in rows, and you can see what it does. It kills the live grass underneath it. Yeah, that's a big mistake on my part. So today, as you can see, the rows going up and down instead of left and right, I went ahead and used a push mower. And hopefully that will prevent, just like I do with my lawn tractor, just huge amounts of grass being blown closer and closer to the center of my yard. That will evenly distribute the stuff. I don't know. We'll see in another week or two. But I do think that's contributing to a lot of these dead spots. Like this. These are areas where I check for brown patch, or whatever you call it. I've used my shovel to dig up looking for insects. I can't find them. All I can find is like piles of cut grass on top of it. That's what I think my biggest problem is here. And I promise myself I'm going to do better in the future. Okay, well, I'm doing a comparison of the Jonathan Green Black Beauty Ultra Supreme Grass Seed review, comparing that with other things I've done in my yard. This little section here between the Christmas tree and what used to be my barbecue grill out here and my swimming pool, we moved all that. Take a look at this. This grass does not look all that bad. This was where I had Scott's. Can't remember if it was the, what do they call it? Scott's commercial or Scott's contractor. Whichever one was more expensive. That is what I put on this section of yard from the road up to the shed up there and on around the house. But I don't worry about that too much because I wear that out. But hey, it looks pretty good except for the clover. Back in the early spring, I had a clover problem, but I only treated from my driveway down to the Christmas tree. The rest of this, since I didn't really consider it part of my experiment, I just ignored. And as you can see, I have lots and lots of clover and things that look almost like clover. Look like violets or something. But I still have another bottle of that Ortho Clover Killer. So I'm promising myself I will come out here in the next week or two and I'm going to eliminate these clover type weeds from this section. And in the end, I might be able to give Scott's a raving review, even though I sort of treated him like the redheaded stepson ever since I started this review. But hey, it doesn't look too bad. Let's take a look farther to the north on my property. Let me move out here and give you a side view. You can see where I seeded. This is Scott's, and on up to the south, on down to the south, is the Jonathan Green Black Beauty. Hey, there ain't that much difference between the Black Beauty and the Scott's at the end of June. Actually, all this stuff out here that's getting a little more sunshine than the stuff underneath the tree really looks pretty healthy. So I'm not going to knock Scott's anymore. But right here is the line of demarcation between expensive grass seed and just stuff I put up here. This was mostly annual ryegrass. And even though I did slit seed the ryegrass, well, I'll say slit seed, that means I ran my scar fire over here. Wow. That guy's a cop. That loud motorcycle, that guy's a cop, believe it or not. But anyhow, yes, all winter long I had a pretty good yard with annual ryegrass. That's all gone. Now I'm back to my regular crabgrass and other junk. I don't even know the names of all these grasses. But this is probably what your yard looks like if you haven't planted Jonathan Green. Yeah, this is probably what you're having to deal with. But I'm not worried about it. If my Jonathan Green can make it for the next 6 or 7 weeks, this is going to change in 2020. In the fall of 2020, this part of my yard will look like that. Okay, thanks for watching. I'll keep you updated. We only got a few more weeks to go to make a full year. So, fingers crossed. Thank you. Hey, before I go, I want to put a PS on here. I know I didn't talk about this swimming pool. It is not a swimming pool. It is a 10-foot, 1,000-gallon irrigation pond. And that little bit of water you see coming out of there is producing between 10 and 11 gallons per hour. I can get a quart of water out of that little stream in about 80 seconds, which adds up to almost 250 gallons a day. In other words, with this little pond, I can irrigate my test section twice a week. I'm figuring it takes probably a gallon to do 5 square feet. And if I can get 6,000 gallons a month, that means I can treat once a month 30,000 square feet. Or twice a month, 15,000 square feet. Or you can do the interpolation. Anyhow, right now, I'm irrigating my test patch on average twice a week with a ram pump. I'll probably make another video about the ram pump. It is a way to pump water from way down that hill. It's more than 450 feet downhill to the creek, and I'm using gravity only. No power, no man-made power whatsoever. No electricity, no gasoline, no nothing. Just plain old gravity and momentum of water movement to bring water uphill from that little creek, which averages 1 inch deep, to here, to give me 6,000 gallons of water to use for irrigation every month. I'll probably make a separate video on that. Meanwhile, to whet your appetite, just go on Google or YouTube and look up ram pump. That'll give you the basics you need to know. Because when I come in, I'm not going to describe the basics of a ram pump. I'm going to show you how I made my ram pump. Thank you again for watching.